Hello, and welcome to this Foster Care Institute online training webinar, Protecting Yourself as a Foster Parent. I'm your host, Dr. John DeGarmo, the founder and director of the Foster Care Institute, and I am also a foster parent and adoptive parent myself. The goal during this webinar is to increase your awareness of the importance of protecting yourself as a foster parent from the many dangers you might face while caring for children from foster care in need in your home. You will gain knowledge and strategies about how to best protect yourself as a foster parent from a wide range of dangers and challenges, quite simply, that you face every day while you care for children from foster care in your home. Now, personally, over the years, I've had over 55 children come to live in my own home, and I have seen many of these challenges personally. So I understand very much the need to protect oneself as a foster parent. To be sure, if you are not protecting yourself like the strategies developed in this webinar, then you are placing yourself at great risk. Not only yourself, but your entire family. Now, we know the life of a foster parent is one that is very challenging. Taking children into your home, children from foster care into your home, can certainly be a challenge. There are issues of behavior. There are issues of learning disabilities. There are emotional trials that children may bring to you. Everything they bring into your home can be exhausting, can be challenging, can be distracting, can be wearing, can be trying for you as a foster parent. In reality, what so many foster parents across the nation and across the globe often overlook is this: the risk factor. Let there be no mistake, there is a risk factor that goes along when you take a child from foster care into your home. So as a foster parent, you become vulnerable, very vulnerable and open to so many possibilities. It is important that you protect yourself and your family from the possible implications, investigations, and so many other risks that could face your family on a daily basis. Now, perhaps what foster parents often complain to me about, or suggest to me about, or bring to my attention is the fact that they have had false accusations made against them. Foster parents are indeed more than twice as likely to be the subject of a child maltreatment investigation. Now, the most allegations of abuse and neglect by foster parents are found to be untrue or unsubstantiated, these allegations are made nevertheless. Foster parents have a higher chance of a false accusation made against them than the birth parents do. Now, these false accusations may stem from a number or a variety of ways, if you will. Some children from foster care are placed in our home, and they've come from environments of abuse or neglect, and they truly may not recognize the home or the environment that you provide to them is a safe one, is a stable one, is a loving one, is a compassionate one, is one that is there designed to protect them, to keep them safe, to nurture them. Their past abuse, their past neglect, their past emotional trauma may be all that they know, all that they are familiar with. It is their norm, it is their reality. So, they may make an allegation against you, unknowingly or unwillingly, due to the past experiences that they may have faced before they came to live with you. They may make these allegations against you not knowing that they're doing so or not trying to do so simply because this is their norm. Now, some children may make an allegation against a foster parent in the hope or the desire of leaving your home and being able to return to their own biological family members. Now, we know that so many children in foster care, they want to return back to their family. As a foster parent, you are not their mother, you are not their father. You can provide a fantastic environment. You can provide a loving home. You can provide them many opportunities and many chances and so many wonderful things. Yet at the end of the day, they want to go back to their home, even though it may have been a home where they have been abused tremendously, neglected, a home that they've been abandoned by. They still want to go back to that family because it is their mother, it is their father, it is their family, and every child wants a family. And beyond that, it's what they're used to. So as a result, they may make an allegation against you, hoping that the end result is them able to go back home. Other children may make an allegation as an attempt to distance themselves emotionally from you. They find that they are becoming attached to you emotionally, and that may frighten them, that may scare them because they feel they may be violating the trust of their own family. They may feel that they are deserting their family. They may feel they had to make a choice between you and their birth parents. So they make an allegation against you, hoping to set an emotional wall or barrier between you and themselves. Some children from foster care may make an accusation of abuse or neglect in an attempt at getting revenge upon you or their biological family member. Now, you may have done nothing wrong whatsoever, but they are so filled with angst, so filled with personal trauma, so filled with anxiety, so filled with anger or confusion that they feel the only thing they can do is to make an accusation against you to gain some sort of revenge. They don't know what their revenge is for or why, yet they feel they need to do it. False accusations of abuse, false accusations of neglect, or other forms of maltreatment can also be reported against you out of the resentment by the birth family. As a child is living with you instead of them, instead of the biological parent, or instead of the family member. So they may make a false accusation against you. This has happened to me. This is sadly not uncommon. Along with this, false accusations may also be made against you out of jealousy, or simply an attempt to justify their own present or past behavior. Sometimes birth parents are jealous of you. They see what you have, they see what they don't have, and that mainly is the child. So they may make that false accusation against you simply because they're jealous. Now, many in the public are not aware of the roles and responsibilities, the duties, the lifestyle, if you will, of foster parents. Nor do they truly understand why a child might be placed into foster care. Others in society do not recognize the challenges that children in foster care and foster parents both face on a day-to-day basis. So as a result, some in society might mistakenly file a report to their local child welfare agency or law enforcement against you. They do so with good intentions. They simply have false information. Before a child in foster care is ever placed into your home, before they arrive to your home, there are several things that you can do to protect yourself and your family from the risk of these false accusations and the risk of these allegations. Before the child is placed in your home and in your family, insist on getting all the information that is possible about that child before he is placed in your home. This means you need to ask those questions. Those questions, the information that you need to know. This can include the history of the emotional and behavior issues the child might have, any learning disabilities a child might have, any medical needs, a history of physical or sexual abuse the child might have been subjected to before coming to your home. You ask these questions from the caseworker when you get that phone call or that email, the request to have the child placed in your home. You need to determine very, very quickly if your home is the best environment for that child and if you are placing your own family and your own children, if you will, at risk from false accusations. For example, recently, my family had a phone call for a placement for a young girl, a 13-year-old girl, asked to be placed into our home. One of the questions we asked was, why is she in care? And I asked about her previous sexual abuse. The young girl in question had had 2 abortions before being placed into foster care. I immediately recognized the fact that my son and myself could be at risk of false accusations made against myself or my son. As my wife often works away from the home, she is sometimes gone in the evenings. I recognized very quickly that this 13-year-old girl who had a history of sexual abuse and as well as sexual behavior, I recognized that she could make an accusation at any time against my son or myself. And I recognized this was not possible. I recognized that we could not have this child placed into our home due to the fact that we were placing ourselves at risk. Ask about the visitation schedule of the child before he is placed in your home. Who will he be visiting with, and how often will the visitation occur? Sometimes you might not be able to make every visitation, or sometimes the visitations may be in a place far from your home. You need to know if you're able to do this or not. If the child has been placed in previous foster homes, try to obtain information regarding any possible false accusations or any unsubstantiated reports made by the child or the birth parents or other biological family members against the previous foster parents and foster home. It is important to find out why the child was moved from the previous foster home and placed into yours. If possible, ask to speak to the previous foster parents in an attempt to find out more about the child along with his needs and his concerns. Remember, the more knowledge you have, the more information you have about that child, the more equipped you are to provide and to care for that child, and the more equipped you are to care for that child and be made aware beforehand about possible problems. Knowledge is power. Equip yourself with that. Remember this also. No question is a dumb question unless you already know the answer. Whenever possible, attempt to get all of this information in writing, whether from the caseworker, the court system, or the schools. Ask to have this in documentation. To be sure, we've seen in another webinar about documentation, documentation is so important in order to record events as a foster parent. This written account will help you keep an accurate account of the time your foster child lives in your home. It is important that your writing is done in a manner which is observational, descriptive, and that is non-biased account of your foster child, not your emotions, not your beliefs, not your feelings, just the facts, so to speak. Additionally, you will want to make certain that your written account does not include your opinions. You're just documenting based on what you observe. Begin a journal about your foster child, beginning with his arrival into your home. This helps you in any allegations or accusations made against you afterwards. Explain the state of duress, his behavior, his emotional well being when he arrived. Describe his progress, his daily events in your home those first few days and first few weeks. There are times when birth parents or biological family members may make an accusation against you, feeling that you are not taking care of the child, his physical and health needs. In order to protect yourself against these accusations, make sure that you keep written records every time he should become sick, the time he was sick, as well as how it was treated, what kind of medicine you may have given him, including doctor visits and any medicine that you gave him. If he's missing school, make sure you document that as well. Have all of this in writing in case the birth parents should accuse you of not maintaining his well-being and his health. When you see changes in his behavior, make sure you document it. When he began behaving in this manner, as well as the length of time he spent in this misbehavior, detail how you addressed this change in his behavior and how he reacted to any rules or any consequences that you put in place as a result of his misbehavior. This is important information because the caseworker may ask, the birth parents may ask, biological family members may ask, even a CASA, a court advocate, may ask. Have this in writing, have this documented, so no accusations or allegations can be made against you. Keep an account of every time he has a visitation, including the date, the time, locations of each visit. If he has any significant emotional behavioral changes after these visits, describe them as best as you can and in full detail as you possibly can. Any contact you have with the birth parents and biological family members should always be documented. Remember, they are going to have their own opinion of how the conversation went or how the meeting went. This may be a time where they may accuse you of saying something or doing something towards them in a negative fashion. You need to be prepared beforehand. Have this in writing in case this allegation or accusation comes up against you. At the same time, document the conversations you have with your caseworker. And if you suspect any kind of abuse while he is visiting his family, take before and after pictures of him as another form of evidence. Sadly, there have been those times when a child has come back from a visitation with his birth parents, and he has come back with bruises or with some type of physical abuse made against him by the birth parents. Later, the birth parents will accuse the foster parents of doing so. So to protect yourself, make sure that you document this immediately, call the caseworker immediately, and take pictures. We go into documentation and written records in another online training webinar here at the Foster Care Institute, and I encourage you to check that one out. What so many fail to recognize is that the child is in the custody of the state, not you. Therefore, you are liable for his safety and well-being because he is a ward of the state placed in your home. It is important that your entire family knows this, including your own children. Sit down with your family. Discuss safety issues such as medicines locked away in cabinets, fastening the seatbelt while in a car at all times, electrical outlets, and other concerns you may have in your home. Inspect your home on a routine basis, on a consistent manner, for any problems that could bring harm to the child or danger to any living in your home. Make sure you check fire alarms, electrical outlets, locks, windows, and other features on a regular and consistent basis. Of course, you should be keeping a fire extinguisher in your home for emergencies, and make sure you do so on each floor of the house. If you live in a 3-story house, you should have at least 3 fire extinguishers, at least one on every floor. Make sure your child from foster care knows what to do in case of a fire should begin in your home. Where is the safe space? Where does he go if there's a fire in your home? Where do you meet if something should occur like this? Supervision is something that you must do all times when you're caring for children in your home. You will be held responsible. You will be held responsible for his whereabouts and his safety. And you may be held accountable if he should ever come to harm. One of the ways you can protect yourself against this is to make sure your child is supervised at all times. Find out about the family or friends he wants to visit beforehand. If he wants to visit a friend's house, do a thorough check of who lives there. Make sure the environment he will be in is a safe one. Check out the level of supervision he will be under. This means you need to call the parents of his friends and ensure that their environment is safe. Explain to them that you have concerns. Explain to them that this is a child from foster care. Explain to them that he must be supervised and looked after at all times. Do not be afraid to say no to the child if you have these concerns. If you have a suspicion or you have a concern that he will not be looked after at all times or if he will not be safe at this friend's house, then simply say, not at this time. It is unwise to allow the child to play unattended at any time. If he should be playing in his room, keep the door open. If he's napping or sleeping, keep the door open. Check in on him from time to time. See that he's okay. See that he's not doing anything that you would disapprove of. Now, all kids like to play outside. That's normal. If he is playing outside, if he's in your backyard, make sure that he will come to no harm out there by stray dogs or other animals, by sharp objects, by unwelcome visitors, or just wandering off by himself. Again, you need to check on him from time to time, periodically, while he is outside. Glance out the window, stick your head out the door, make sure he is safe and sound. When he's playing, make sure there are no places to hide, both inside or outside of your home, that you can't find him. Dryers, old refrigerators, wash machines, things like this that he could get into and not get out of, make sure these are not in your home or your environment. You're outside your neighborhood. Some children might escape into a world of imagination and fun by hiding. Others might hide and attempt to escape the harsh realities they have, or do so out of anger and resentment towards an adult. Find these places where he might hide and be aware of them. Like my own experience a few years ago, you may have a child placed in your home that has been sexually active, due either to his own choices or maybe being abused sexually by other people in his life. Perhaps the child is currently sexually active or is one who's been exposed to sexual behavior prior to placement within your own home. Whatever the scenario may be, you must be extra vigilant. You must take extra diligence in protecting yourself from false accusations and possible accusations from the child towards you or members of your family. If you're in the same room with a foster child who has been sexually active or who has a sexually related problems, make sure you have another adult in the room with you at all times or nearby and within listening distance. This will protect you as a foster parent. It will also protect the child from making false accusations against you because the child recognizes, or hopefully will recognize, that there's somebody there to speak in your behalf. If a child should make a new allegation that he was sexually abused while in your home, take these allegations very, very seriously. Report them to your caseworker immediately without hesitation whatsoever. Make sure you document what was said, where you were, the date, the time, the location. Now, as a parent, you have your own approach for disciplining your own biological children. These methods may have to be different, though, for the child from foster care placed in your home. When you are disciplining your foster child, you may have to come up with a different method of discipline in order to protect yourself. Make no mistake, you are never allowed to use any form of corporal punishment on a foster child. You may not spank your foster child at any time. Do not even threaten this as a form of discipline. Even the suggestion of giving a child a spanking could place you at risk. Never do it. Instead, find other alternatives for punishing your foster child or disciplining your foster child. Discuss this with him and explain to him what is and is not permissible in your home and in your family, and all the consequences he will face if he chooses to break your rules. Discuss these with your caseworker as well, and even the birth parents if you feel that they are receptive to you. They may not be receptive to this discussion. Recognize this. If you find that your foster child is so out of control that he must be restrained in order to not only protect those around him, but to protect himself, do so only if you have had proper training and restraint techniques, as you do not want to accidentally harm him or harm yourself or give him cause to falsely accuse you of doing so. We will look at methods of discipline in a future online training webinar here at the Foster Care Institute. If you suspect that your foster child has been abused in any way, at any time, contact your caseworker immediately and file a report. An investigator will be assigned to investigate the claim before taking any further action. If your own home should fall under investigation, answer the questions as openly and as honestly as you can. Be transparent, if you will. Give as much information, share the information as you know with the investigators. If for some reason you should withhold any information whatsoever, it will only make it more difficult for all those involved, as they will have an issue of trusting what you say in the future. Anytime a child talks about suicide, it should be taken with 100% seriousness by you. You must report this to the caseworker immediately. Sometimes children in foster care may threaten suicide simply as an attention-seeking device, hoping to bring attention to themselves, hoping to get your attention. Even if you suspect this is the case, you still have to report it to the caseworker as soon as you're able to do so. Any notes, any letters that indicate a suicide threat should be collected and given to the caseworker. Close and constant adult supervision needs to be provided to your child from foster care if he should threaten any bodily harm to himself or suicide. Now, children are children. They're going to hurt themselves. They're going to get cuts and bruises. They're going to get that bloody nose. They're going to get sick, whatever it may be. When this happens, you need to document any accidents, bruises, cuts, scrapes, illness, or sickness, or any serious injuries in your house, while he's at school, or anywhere else outside your home, and report these to your caseworkers right away. If not, somebody may accuse you of hurting the child in some fashion. Protect yourself against this type of allegation. When you note incidences such as injuries or illnesses or abuse in written documentation, it will benefit not only your memory when you have to recount this information to caseworkers, when you have to talk about it, when you have to explain it, if you will, to the caseworkers or any possible investigators. It will also help to protect your family as well. You have it in writing, so if an allegation or accusation comes up against you, you have it in writing. It is written in documentation. Regular reports to your caseworker about the child's progress will also help to protect your family against future allegations or accusations as well. Allegations and accusations against you as a foster parent, sadly, are not uncommon. Many foster parents have had an accusation or allegation of some kind made against them at some point in their foster parenting experience. Remember, the child is scared, afraid, lonely, angry, hurt, whatever it may be. The birth parents are feeling those same emotions. They may lash out in some way towards you or towards a foster care system by filing an accusation against you, by making some sort of allegation towards you. You need to take steps to ensure that your family is protected from such accusations and allegations. For more on this issue, check out the Foster Care Institute website for articles and other webinars on this. Of course, you can find information at Twitter and Facebook. If you have questions about this webinar or other questions, email me at drjohndegarmo@gmail.com. We go into this topic in depth in the book, The Foster Parenting Manual, a practical guide to creating a loving, safe, and stable home. And indeed, there are many books about foster parenting that you might wish to pick up. My friend, what you do is difficult. What you do is challenging. What you do, most people do not understand. What you do needs to be protected. Protect yourself. Protect your family. Those allegations and accusations could come at any time and from several different locations in several different ways. Prepare yourself beforehand. Thank you for taking part in this online training webinar. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for caring for children in need. For the Foster Care Institute, I'm Dr. John DeGarmo.